Yeah, so the title of the workshop inspired me maybe to also offer to talk about what we did, because we started from chaos and then now ended at Skosmos. So this is about integrating the domain vocabulary Voc4Cat into our domain repository Repo4Cat, and we did this via Skosmos. So first, a few words about the project. So the NFDI initiative in Germany is quite big initiative you probably heard about. So it's 17 consortia working on implementing research data management for various domains. And the NFDI for CAT project, where I am coming from, is targeting the area of catalysis, and catalysis is chemistry and chemical engineering. So 80% of all chemicals are manufactured involving catalytic processes in their way to existence. And so it's a super important discipline to solve sustainable production of chemicals and solve energy problems in the future. But the discipline was quite unorganized with respect to digitalization. And so this project formed to establish vocabulary, structured data, data repositories, and so on. And we have some support also from industrial consortium. So what did we establish so far? So we have created a repository for the discipline to share data, and the data are published then with handle identifiers. So it's in principle applying some, but not all of the FAIR principles, and we build upon the Dataverse project, which is a very established repository software. And this is running since last year in summer, so about 1 year and a little bit. And if we look in more detail in the deposited data sets, you will see that some aspects are fulfilled of FAIR criteria, but not everything. And especially it's very difficult or currently not solved to be FAIR down to the data level, which means that also the column headers and keywords and so refer to ontologies or terminologies. And that is something which is not yet implemented in the discipline, because also there was no or is no ontology or vocabulary which provides you the URIs that you for concepts that you then reuse. So this is something we worked on in Voc4Cat. And this was started about 3 years ago. And so Voc4Cat is a catalysis-specific vocabulary, mainly for data annotation. And it's built upon the SKOS standard and has shackle-based validation. So we have a vocabulary profile that can be used then to validate if all is conform. And then from the beginning, we support multi-version, because as we build it up, it will clearly change and develop over time. So we thought that multi-version support will be very important from the beginning. We do publish it as HTML, as static documentation, and then also provide RDF versus content negotiation. Currently, it has grown to about 500 or 550 concepts from various subdomains of the catalysis disciplines. And these various subdisciplines also imply that people from very different backgrounds have to contribute. And so for us, it was very important to establish a user-friendly contribution process, not of vocabulary professionals, but of standard domain scientists. And also then we didn't have a big curation team, so it was also very important to make it efficient to curate the vocabulary. And so we settled upon an open source inspired contribution workflow combined with Excel as a familiar user interface. So it could be Excel, it could be also Google Docs. It's mainly XLSX as a file format. And this is a multi-sheet document. And here you see the most important sheet with the concepts where the user can enter in multi-language, then their preferred label of the concept. We have a concept IRI definition, and then for the hierarchy, we have children IRIs and also track provenance information. So here it's a bit bigger. The Excel interface has some advantages, so you can easily filter, have already some syntax checks, and so it's quite convenient and very familiar for people to use. And of course, no programmer is happy with Excel. So we have developed a GitHub-based vocabulary contribution workflow. And by using GitHub, we have a lot of advantages. So it gives us all the automation options. People can discuss about features. You have diff views so that you could see what changed and not. And so how we integrate, I just go shortly over the workflow. So the people start with submitting the Excel file, and then that is validated and checked by a CI pipeline and immediately converted to a SKOS or RDF representation. And the Excel file is killed in principle upon this directly after the submission. So, and then all further discussions or tracking of changes goes over RDF Turtle, which is the main representation in the GitHub repository. And so just via the standard GitHub features, we get all the advantages of doing review and discussion about submitted concepts and approval stages. And once we have the approval reached and a merge is made, then the GitHub pipeline allows us to rebuild the vocabulary. If it's tagged, we can also do a version-based publishing. And here the publishing is done to GitHub pages. And what is published is the HTML documentation that is generated from the turtle representation in the GitHub repository. Second, we built one big XML file for Skosmos to download and integrate. And we also recreate the Excel file that someone can then download to make the next contribution. So at all the times, all these pieces or representations are consistent by using the continuous integration delivery in GitHub. So the final step here is we publish this, and of course, like I would want to talk a little bit more about this, about the tool set on Wednesday. So if you're interested, you could join the lightning talk. So now coming back to the next step. So once the vocabulary is published, we have initially published it to an OLS instant run at TIB Hanover, but OLS is made for OWL ontologies, and so it was not very great to display SKOS vocabularies, even if they are completely perfect SKOS vocabularies. And so we pushed the terminology service project in NFDI to create also a Skosmos instance to help us with a display of the vocabularies. And we liked especially that you can have this nicely visual hierarchical representations of the broader, narrower relations, and that you can also look into collections, because we make use of collections in the project. For example, we work together with a publisher for ChemCat to provide a keyword collection based on their keywords of 5 years of use in the journal of all the authors. And so this gives a way like to integrate a real focused keyword selection for authors in the journal in the future. And at the bottom, you see the link. It is Skosmos instance is running at ZBMed. And this was just one part. So now we can create and edit and curate the vocabulary and publish it to Skosmos. But of course, we want to make use of it in our data portal. And then we had an incubator project with the terminology service project where we integrated into our Dataverse. So now in the keyword selection dialogues of data sets and also of the data files, you can refer to vocabularies in the Voc4Cat vocabulary. And here you just see on the left, it's a view on Dataverse, and on the right, you have the HTML representation of the vocabulary, and then all the permanent URIs. They directly resolve to the concept, so it's really made to scroll to the right positions. And if you would request not HTML, but XML turtle, you would get the turtle representation via content negotiation. So we implemented all the details. So just as a summary, so now the Skosmos 3 terminology service is available not just for the NFDI4Cat project where I'm from, but it's available for the whole NFDI, and there are also other consortia interested in using it. It's hosted at the ZBMed in Bonn. And what the SKOS Voc4Cat has brought is an automated workflow or what we also developed is an automated workflow to ingest the SKOS data from GitHub repositories. And then also we showed just like how easy it is to do this metadata keyword input in Dataverse once you have already a running Skosmos API. So there was pre-existing work to connect Dataverse to Skosmos for other vocabularies, and we could build upon it and didn't have to do so much. What next thing what we plan is that we integrate Voc4Cat into other services, and there we are mainly thinking about electronic lab notebooks, which then could retrieve collections, for example, to use them for just in the standard daily research. Another point is that the terminology service project offers a nice set of widgets, and there you can use them to generate like selection boxes or tree views, and it's all prefabricated widgets that you can put into your web pages and access SKOS vocabularies. And of course, I've not done it alone, or nearly I've organized it, and Voc4Cat I programmed a lot, but like for the integration, the main acknowledgement goes then to Roman Braun from ZBMed and from the terminology service project, and then to Vladimir Kushnarenko from HLS, which runs the repository, and of course to all our Voc4Cat contributors. And funding for all of this was provided by DFG projects, NFDI4Cat and TS for NFDI. Thank you.